Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by the community standards. Oh man, it's happening. Alright. See if I can get this these things started with the way that I do it. Hold please. We are resetting. We are crossing fingers. We are hoping for the best. So far it's not showing up live. That's fine. There's a delay usually. We can, we gotta clean the stove. The stove's filthy, and make some coffee. Let's get the water going first, I guess. Well, the big freeze, the big ice storm. And, ironically, I'm not talking about the northern United States. I'm talking about the southern United States when it comes to ice storms. Because, struggle's real. Alright, water's getting ready. Let's try resetting everything, see if we can get a live. Here we go.
Here's why you need to go to Slumberland.
Brought to you by Slumberland!
Jeez.
Tempur-Pedic Slumberland. Can't get enough of that. Get this other one going here. Nope. Fingers. Go gadget fingers. Probably gonna get a.
Here's why you need to go to Slumberland.
Brought to you by Slumberland! Yep. Tempur-Pedic Slumberland. I don't need all that. Enough of that. Mute that out. Alright. Where was I? Oh, also brought to you by Harbor Freight. That's nice. Alright. Well, my dishwasher, or my sink is dirty, but I'm not afraid to show my dirty sink. Well, give me a second here. Some of that is a little gross. Let me try to figure out how to do this. We're just going to tap the crumbs out. No, nobody needs to see that. All right, here we go. And that dirty knife. I was cutting potatoes with that. All right. I haven't checked the weather today. Last I knew, there was ice storms a-cometh. Hopefully everybody is able to weather the ice storms. I know it's a multi-day event, and Boston's going to get just slammed. I know some people that live out in that area. Hopefully, hopefully your back is strong, or your contract with your snow removal is up to date, because that's, I don't know, just kind of like one of them deals. I guess what's so weird about that storm is it's like almost 2,000 miles long. Like, that's not, I don't know. I mean, I kind of understand that, like, sometimes weather starts here and goes there, and I'm sure, like most things, you know, the human attention can only be focused on so many things at once. So while I know there are things happening in the United States that are very important, I think for the majority of people, if a giant ice storm's coming to your neighborhood, that's far more important than if a bunch of dummies in a state led by a dummy are doing dumb things, and then dumb things are happening to those dumb people that are doing dumb things by dumb people. You know, a bunch of dumb shit's happening all at once, which is a tragedy. I feel bad for everyone involved. It's almost like what is the term? FAFO may actually be true. What's up, Jeremy? I mean, I can't tell you how many, probably hundreds of millions of people in the last few weeks have gone ahead and not done the things they're legally allowed to do in front of people who are doing, their job, and then ended up maybe hurt. It just boggles my mind. Like, I'm trying to think of things that you're allowed to do that you could get hurt doing. Like, did you know that you can get on an airplane or a car and you can go to Montana and you can go up into the Bitterroot Mountains where the grizzly bears live, and you could take a camera up there and you could film the grizzly bears? Did you know you could do that? It's well within your rights. And you know what could also happen to you? You can get eaten by a grizzly bear. Did you know that? And you could travel safely, and you could have, I mean, you could put whatever words on the outside of your outfit you want. All sorts of things you could do. I mean, you could do all the stuff. And at the end of the day, there might be a group of friends that show up to a thing called a funeral, and they can discuss how unfair it was for the dangerous situation of a grizzly bear to attack you. But it's just like, that's just a slight overview of how you can do things and end up I don't know, maybe unalived a little bit. It's just like, man, like what are you doing? There's another thing that could happen is you could actually have someone break the law and end your life, but guess what? Your life's still ended. No one needs their life ended like that. Like, what are you thinking? I don't know. It's just weird how it's some of the stuff's happening in particular states is what I find so interesting. It's very, very interesting to me, because I may or may not live in a state that has a policy to cooperate with federal law enforcement, and this stuff never happens in my state, ever. But then again, I also don't have a state that's run by allegedly corrupt individuals who were allegedly either complicit or involved in billions of dollars of fraud, allegedly. You know, it's just like, it just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder. Yeah, breakfast is back. We're back. Try to give good advice for people how to stay safe. I mean, God almighty. And I can't explain any more than I can out loud that, like, anytime you're dealing with any type of law enforcement, you don't argue your case in the street. You don't wrestle your case in the street. That's what court is for. That's what a lawyer's for. That's what all that's for. Like, because I heard a great analogy. Here's a great analogy. You ready for this? Has anyone ever played Grand Theft Auto? My alarm just went off. Here's a great analogy. In Grand Theft Auto, which is a video game, and I'm not talking about in real life, I'm talking about in a video game, you can interact with law enforcement, okay? And you can break the law in front of law enforcement, and law enforcement will intervene, okay? It's a video game. But do you know what happens in Grand Theft Auto once law enforcement starts, using lethal force against you? They never stop. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, do people not quite grasp the concept of, like, this is all theoretical. I don't encourage you this, but, like, you don't win with a rare exception of, like, temporarily, and that's like, I don't know, an ambush situation, but you don't win. There's always more. So, like, there's no point in fighting law enforcement. There's no point wrestling with law enforcement. There's no point spitting at them or punching them. Once you are engaged in law enforcement, basically, once they got their hands on you, you are not gonna give a speech, essentially, or a wrestling maneuver, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, no, you should just go home. You're fine. It happens. It's very rare. Very rare. Very rare. I mean, I guess it's possible that once you're detained and you're cuffed up and you can't do anything, and they realize they've done something wrong, then, yeah, sometimes they will let you go. But at that point, you normally have a case that you can get a lawyer, because if they've done something wrong and they detained you, they've cuffed you up, normally they violated a law or one of your constitutionally protected amendments, whatever. But like, I think too many people must watch TV and like think it's real, maybe. I don't really know. Yeah, no, it's we're back. We're back doing this. I guess mainly because the world's so crazy and I keep why did I sorry, I'm sitting here talking about how not to get beat up by a cop and I'm doing my coffee wrong. I don't know. I mean, the other thing that people like sometimes maybe forget is like, I don't want to disparage any police officers out there because that's not my job. But there is established case law where a dude applied to be on a police force and he sued them because they denied him. And they denied him because he scored too high on the IQ test. And I'm not saying, oh, cops are stupid dummies. What I'm saying is law enforcement requires people who are able to take direction and not really want to question it too much. It makes it easier to run the show if the people that are in the patrol cars or on the street are willing to do what they're told without questioning it. So you have to like always understand that you're not dealing with extraordinarily high IQ people. And I'm not trying to disparage people. Like, there's a difference between average, above average, and like you could still function in society, but like what I'm saying is some decisions are only to be made based on that person's self-realized best interests. So, for example, if you're in a situation with a police officer and the police officer fears for his life and he thinks you're involved in the catalyst of his fear, you may be in a problem situation. The weather at my house is 6 degrees. A famous one that I saw once, there was a cop doing a traffic whatever, and he had a guy, the guy was cuffed up inside the back of the police car, and I'm not making this up, an acorn from an oak tree fell and landed on the car and went bang. And the dude, I don't know him, I don't know what his exact state of mind was. He went into full save my life mode. He mag dumped the cop car. He was rolling on the car, yelling, I'm hit. And it was all nothing. It was his perception. He thought it was happening, and he responded exactly like he would if he thought someone was shooting at him. And in the end, he lost his job, but that didn't change the fact that for a little bit there, that guy was mag dumping into the cop car with a handcuffed individual in there. So like, you gotta tread lightly is all I'd say. I mean, when I interact with the police, I assume there's a potentially unhinged gunman very close to me, and I speak politely. I show my hands. I don't get in an argument. I don't do any of that stuff. I try to take the amount of time that I interact with police officers to the minimum amount of minutes and seconds I can possibly do. Because the sooner you can get away from that, the higher your chances of an interaction that could go potentially terribly for you. They diminish as you get away from them. I mean, it's horrible, and I'm sure there's a lot of great cops out there doing a lot of great work. I get it, but like, man alive, don't volunteer to put yourself in that position unless you're ready to accept the consequences of another person's actions. And what's crazy is the way the laws are set up. They're set up to defend the actions of the law enforcement. I mean, you have to like say the words out loud. The laws are set up to protect law enforcement. Like, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Like, it's like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What's crazy is like, they got people like, you need to get out there. You need to get in their faces. Well, yeah, no, definitely go out there and get in their faces. But like, yeah, good luck with that. Like, well, Jesus, jeez, Louise, what a deal! What a deal! Anyways, I think it's also ironic that once again we see ourselves in a situation in this country. You have to be A or B. A or B. You have to be for the crazy lunatics, or you have to be for the, I don't know, the other side of the crazy lunatics. The other side, like, can we get a third option? Is there a third option available? God damn. Whatever. All right, we're gonna cook something today. I think we're gonna do French toast. I was kind of feeling it the other day, but I do have some nice white bread here. We got the Sara Lee. Sara Lee. All right. Yeah, I mean, so like, I played adult hockey in my hometown, and the team I was on was the police and firemen's team, and I got to know the cops on the hockey team, the police officers in my hometown, and one of the police officers, he was a alcoholic piece of shit, one of the shittiest human beings I've ever known in my entire life. That I knew him, and I played hockey with him for years. He was just a bag of shit. He was a cop. The other cop, he was actually a fairly normal human being. You know, like, if he wasn't a police officer, I could see myself, you know. I mean, when I saw him out in public, I'd always talk to him, but like, that particular guy was involved in a situation where a man who was severely disturbed was in a mobile home, lit the mobile home on fire, took taped knives to both of his hands, jumped out of the window. The police had been called. And then when the police told him to put the knives down and they were taped to his hands, they mag dumped him. And that was the cop that I played hockey with. He mag dumped him because the guy ran towards him. And in that situation, it's like objectively, I don't blame the guy I knew that was a cop for killing the guy, because if a dude with knives ran at me, I sure as shit would bag dump him. But at the same time, I don't know. Put the knives down. They're taped to your hand now. No one taped the knives to the guy's hand. He did that to himself. It's one of those, you know, it's a circular thing of like, there's no good. The whole thing is just no good. But like, there you go. That's the cops I knew. Like, the alcoholic one would tell me stories how they'd go out drinking and then just like get pulled over drunk driving. Like, well, you're a cop, you could just go home. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Get real with that. Drunk driving cop stories. Just, God almighty. But like, I don't know. Yeah, it looks spotless. I don't know if it's quite spotless, but I don't film the parts that haven't been completely cleaned up. But yeah, it's just, jeez. I'm trying to think, like, because like all this is in the news or whatever, but like, what did I hear the other day? There was the sheriff's office hired a dude who was, I mean, I don't know what you call it, like an illegal alien. The sheriff's office, like, and then the federal agents arrested the sheriff's officer, and it's like, well, how, like, what are we doing? Like, I saw the press conference on that, and I was trying to understand, like, I think it was a nuanced thing, because like the sheriff's office knew the guy was not from America, but he had a temporary work visa that allowed him to work in America. So they were hiring him, but like in my mind, I guess I'm trying to figure out, why do we have law enforcement in America comprised of individuals who aren't American? And I'm not even saying like sneakily off the backside, but like they knew, but he had a visa or whatever, work visa. Now I can see some situations like maybe so he could interact with that community, maybe the language or whatever. But aren't there people in that community, if we have a community of those individuals who are Americans, who can be law enforcement? Like, I don't know, there's something about law enforcement. I think maybe that'd be okay to have Americans do that. Of any descent. You know, just go ahead and keep in the peace up to the Americans in America. Is that a crazy notion? Mrs. Elves. It might be a while for that one. Mr. Elves likes his house and all of his things. We'll put it that way. Because Mr. Elves' friends, a lot of them have lost their houses and their things. Yeah, I mean, that's the other crazy thing is like, there's ways to go about change if you don't like laws. And the way you do that is you do what's called changing the law. You change the law. That's the best way to solve that. Like, if you don't like, maybe, I mean, pick your favorite law, whatever it is. Your favorite law to disagree with. You don't just go out and be like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, you can. I mean, I guess. I would encourage you to do that from the sidewalk. But it's just the notion. Because like the big thing that's going on in this nation is essentially the immigration situation. Undocumented immigration. And, you can't really go too far back in the past because there's not much you can do about the past. You can only work from today going forward. And, and we have laws, and people don't like the laws apparently. And it's like, well, I guess change the laws? I really don't know. I really don't know how that's supposed to work. I'm gonna put a little milk in my whatever you call this when I'm doing French toast situation here. I think the real problem is that, like, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like there's, well, skipping the line, I guess is the best way to describe it. A lot of people aren't a big fan of skipping the line. Doesn't matter what situation. If you're in the grocery store and someone skips the line, there's something about it that just makes most people want to rage. The old skipping the line. And there are thousands of individuals who come to America from other countries to become Americans. And they go through the process. They put themselves, what I would call, in line. And they sit in line and they do it according to the laws on the books. That's what thousands of people do every year. I can only imagine how it feels to try to go about a process in a legal way and then see people who skip the line, essentially, and then see people get so adamant about defending the people who skipped the line. Line skippers, no, I'm not a fan. Like, I do not, like you, I will not stand for skipping of the line. It's just like, at some point, you're either living in society or not. And the line or the queue is a huge thing. Like, if you are not living in a society when you think that somehow you're magic and you could be in front of the line. There's something about that. So anyways, I think that's what's the big contention is, like, the majority of people like the process, I feel as though the majority of humans or citizens in the United States are accepting of the current process of how the laws are established. And then you sit at home and you watch people get upset because people who didn't follow the process are subject to the consequences of not following the process. And there's a process for not following the process. It's all codified in law. And then people are out getting injured over defending the line skipping. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. I don't get it. I think one of the more interesting things I'm noticing is, like, if you kind of take if you look at the crowds up in Minnesota that are frothing at the mouth, the biggest. It's kind of wild because I don't see a lot of the people whose families potentially may have come from these countries out getting riled up. I don't see a lot of that. I don't. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Like, I would think it would be the people maybe that are being targeted that would be the most angry. Maybe they just don't like the cold. I really don't know. I'm trying not to pay that much attention. I don't want to sound, like I don't care, but I really don't care because that shit's not happening in my state. Although I live very close to all that, but I'm just 100% convinced that stuff will not happen in my state because my state don't play stupid games like that, like at all. Like, my state has an established literal policy of absolute cooperation with the federal government. Therefore, we don't have any of this nonsense. There's a few states that have that policy. I mean, I think one of the biggest ones is Texas. And Texas has probably the biggest potential immigration violation states because that's where one of the major land borders is. But there's not a big old crazy pile of craziness happen down in Texas, even though, there's a lot of people that are being detained and sent back to their countries coming out of Texas. I mean, that's a real thing, kids. I mean, but and you sit there and you watch it. It's like, well, why isn't this happening down in Texas? And then you oh, I know why. Because when a person gets in trouble with the law and they go to court in Texas and they are established to have broken a law, and they also don't have the papers to be in this country, Texas doesn't put them back on the street. They hand them over to the feds. And it eliminates the on-the-street aspect. They just get them at the jail. It's easy. It's a handoff. But Minnesota's not doing that. Like, no! Put it back in the streets, then you got to come run around in the streets and gather it back up. It's like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, it's a literal... It's happening exactly the way it's going to happen because of what they're doing. It's mind-boggling, and people are just like, I don't understand what's going on here. Well, it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, I know they're kicking doors in and stealing humans. I get it. Yeah, that's what's happening. Jesus, people are living in like a episode of the Hunger Games or something. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? I keep reading the federal government's out murdering people. It's like, all right, yeah, they're out murdering. Like, I think there's been 2 citizens who've lost their lives, and I think in both cases, only one person lost their life. It wasn't that anyone within just feet of the situation also lost their life. Which makes me think that maybe they're not out there wholesale murdering citizens. Because, I mean, I'm not an expert in how, citizen murdering goes, but generally when the government starts murdering citizens, it kind of just, it pops off, and a lot of people go. So I'm kind of thinking that's not exactly what's happened. I've been wrong before. I've been wrong lots of times, but generally, if you're standing within 4 feet of a person who loses their life to law enforcement isn't just out murdering people. Hate to break the bad news to anybody on that one. Not saying that people aren't losing their lives. That's actually happening. But it's not because law enforcement showed up one day and like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go kill a bunch of people. It's the perception of the law enforcement officer. I guarantee you. That's exactly what it is, kids. Don't make an officer quote unquote fear for their safety. You don't want to be in that position. And I think some of that stuff is like kind of, I don't know what you call it. I don't want to call horse shit on it, but like I've seen some horse shit videos of officers saying, for officer safety, you know, and it's like, all right, I get it. I mean, be right and be 8 foot under the ground and see how much that works out for you. It doesn't help you a bit. Like being right does not help you a bit. No. I mean, at best, maybe a civil rights violation, get your family some money or something. I don't know if that's even worth it, but whatever. Anyways, how's the weather going? Anybody surviving an ice storm right now? Jeez. There's like a huge event going on in the video game I play, which brings in a bunch of new players. Which brings in a bunch of people who are just like, I don't know, I can't describe exactly what they are, but like experts at doing things incorrectly. So I'm kind of rooting for maybe the power to go down in a bunch of the United States so I can play video games in peace. Not at my house. So like where I live, we're not in that giant storm that goes from Texas all the way to, where does it go, Boston? I just have, it's a little overcast right now at my house. It's been cold though. Like we hit 12 below 0 Fahrenheit the other day. My house is never warm. I got the stove going. It's not going very well right now. It's, 8 degrees outside. Oh man, haven't had syrup in a while. That lid will not come off. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna have to run it under hot water. Here we go. No, got him. Got him! My winter's been very mild, I would say. Very little snow. And one little cold snap for a little bit, but other than that, it's been extraordinarily above average for temperatures. Crazily above average, I would say. Not complaining. I mean, I suppose I could probably, I don't know if I could do that. I thought maybe I could bring up like a weather thing and watch it on the stream, and probably what I ended up doing is getting in trouble. Somebody would be mad. But whatever. I do have an update on my Lego set. I think I've only posted one video about it. Well, the video, I don't want to let the secrets out about my channel. My videos are usually delayed from my real life. So like, typically if you see a video, that's something that's happened in the past. Just because that's just how life works. So I bought that ATST Walker Lego set that the Ziploc bag opened up and the pieces spilled out. I think so far all I've posted is the opening of the box where the pieces were spilt all over. I think probably later today I'll put up the video that actually I counted the pieces out. Ended up being like 13 pieces short that fell out. I contacted the guy and I was like, yo, box blew open. He's like, oh man, that sucks. I'm like, yeah, no, that sucks. Like, oh man, that sucks. And the guy, generally pretty helpful. You know, he was like, well, let me see what I can do about it. And I mean, honestly, I didn't know what that meant, but I think a lot of times from your own perception, your own viewpoint, when you say things or when you do things, you understand what you're intending to do more than maybe the outside world can understand what you're doing. So I didn't know if that meant he was like going to look around his house or he was going to do some shopping. I didn't know what it meant. So I was kind of bummed. I talked to one of my buddies who's a post office employee, a delivery person, mailman, if you will. And I asked what happens when like boxes open up and stuff spills out. My ATV, my ATV's doing pretty good. I mean, I've got the red 4-wheeler and I've got that Honda Talon. Like that thing's ripping. I use the red Honda to pull my garbage cans up every week. That's how I get them up the driveway. So, anyways, back to the Lego thing. So, I talked to my buddy that worked at the post office. And I was like, "What happens when like a box opens up and stuff falls out? Like, what do you guys do with that? You just like sweep the truck at the end of the night and just throw it in the trash can?" He's like, "Oh no. Strict regulations on loose items in the mail. Like, they get." What he told me was like, anything that's found loose has to be turned into lost and found. Up into even including, in fact, the postmaster will do tests and they will hide things to see how the employees react. So he said him personally, he's paranoid that there's a test happening to see if, like, for example, $100 bill falls out of a box onto the floor and you see the $100 bill and you're a postal employee, you have to turn the $100 bill in. And apparently they'll slip $100 bills out or whatever items to see if people will do what they're supposed to do. And then if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they get fired because you're supposed to turn everything in. So I was like, yay! By code of conduct, my Legos should be in a bin someplace in the lost and found because very few mail packages are just walked down the road. They're in facilities going from vehicle to vehicle. And, you know, I found a Lego piece on my sidewalk for the very short amount of time that my package was out in the wild, if you will, in not a vehicle. And I'm pretty sure the guy drove up my driveway. It's possible he walked up my driveway, and if he did that, there could be Legos in my driveway because it's gravel, and there's no way to find that. But anyways, so I was like, damn, I'm just going to go down to the post office and, like, ask about, did the guy find a bunch of Legos, and then just like, hey, yeah, here they are. That was just 2 days ago type of deal. Is that French toast bread? No, it's just classic white Sara Lee. I should eat better bread, but I don't know. Every time I go to the store and look at fancy bread, I think, man, I'm just going to get the cheap stuff. Shame on me. I think technically the way it's supposed to work with French toast is, well, you're supposed to buy or make your own bread fresh. Then you eat your fresh bread. And then as your fresh bread starts to go stale or day old or 3 days old, you take that part and you make French toast. That's how it's supposed to work. But we live in the modern era where bread doesn't go bad in a day because they put stuff I don't even want to pretend I understand in it so it doesn't go bad. But whatever. Tastes good. All right. So fast forward. I go out of the post office. All right, you're getting ahead of me on that. You're getting ahead of me, but that's a great observation. So comment was, lost Lego. Someone along the transaction chain will have insurance. You can either get your money back or claim the goods if available. You're exactly right. But there's a process I had to go through. So I went down to the post office like, hey, did you have my stuff? Did you find any? And the lady kind of looked at me like I was crazy. To which I politely said, well, I've got a friend who told me, and he works for the post office, that all loose items are supposed to go into what's called a lost and found. And she goes, oh yeah, we do have that, but it gets emptied, it gets shipped off. And I was like, how often, or, you know, when was the last time it went? Because my stuff went missing a day ago. Like, I assume you'd hold it for a week, and she was kind of, she had to agree that, yeah, it should be held. I'll go look in the back. And this is what I think happened. I think the lady went in the back, got her phone out, got on TikTok, watched a few videos, and came back, nope, not there, not there. Well, my friend also told me, was like, you need to contact your mail personal delivery guy and ask him because he may not have turned it in yet or had found it in the vehicle. So I said, can we contact my delivery guy? And she's like, no, we can't do that. And I knew that wasn't true because my buddy who's a mailman told me that's exactly true. And at that point, I realized this lady is just waiting for lunch. Like lunch, it was almost noon and she just wanted to go to lunch. She wasn't going to do anything to help me find my Lego pieces. To which I just said, well, I guess I'm good. Nothing we can do. And then at the last minute, I was like, I decided to say, I tried to ask her, I was like, do you guys have like, is there like an insurance on this or anything? Like, and she looked at I brought the label with me. And she looked at it and she goes, oh, so, no. My fascination with Lego is we've had Legos my entire life. We got Legos for Christmas and birthday presents and forever and ever we got Legos. My current fascination with Legos, I don't know, I stopped doing Legos for, I don't know, 30 years. And then all of a sudden I got my old Lego sets out and I was having fun playing with them. And I mean, I always wanted, so like personally, I always wanted the Star Wars toys because when you're a kid, you want everything, but we couldn't have everything. We had a lot, don't get me wrong. But basically what we got was G.I. Joe. We did get some Star Wars because we loved it so much. But like, the parents are kind of like, what do you like more, G.I. Joe or Star Wars? Well, we like G.I. Joe better, but we also like Star Wars. So we did get some Star Wars, but we never got really into the big ships or any of the big, battle cruisers or scenes or anything. Like, we had a few loose characters, and I think my brothers and I each had like one mini thing. Like, I had the Tauntaun. My older brother had the Hoth probe that you could put a character in the back and in the cockpit part, which wasn't really movie accurate, but that's just what they did. Then my other brother had like the fueling station with the tools and all that. They're small, and like we had like a small ship that like the wings folded out. Anyways, none of the big stuff. No X-wings or Millennium Falcons or any of that stuff. I always wanted that. I did have the battle cruiser made of paper. It was a 3-dimensional cardboard that you folded it and bent it. We did have that. That was pretty cool. It just hung. You couldn't really play with it. So then, like, I don't know. Something dawned on me. Is like, I loved Legos and I love Star Wars. And it's really fun to build because like a puzzle. Legos are fun. You build them like a puzzle and like you display them or whatever. Kind of hard to dust though. Anyways, back to my story. I said, does it have any insurance? And she looked at the label and she's like, actually, yeah, that would have $100 worth of insurance on it. And I was like, okay, perfect. How does this work? She goes, you should contact the guy that sold it or sent it to you. And I was like, yep, have. And he never mentioned insurance or anything. He just said, hey, he's going to, work on it. And that's, I get it. There's many levels to working on it. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but I'm sure he was doing something. So I went home and I sent him a message like, hey, by the way, I told him what I did, went down, talked to him, and I can't remember if I told him that. He actually made me watch this. I gave him a link to my video, my channel. I'm a nice guy. I think the post office just blew me off. But anyways, the insurance thing, I was like, hey, if there's insurance, let's do it, man. Like that's what insurance is for. Insurance is for when you need to claim a claim against insurance. So what I said was like, hey, maybe you could just refund my money and then you could just collect the insurance, because I truly don't feel as though the guy who sent it is or should be to blame. He taped the box up. He put the Legos in a Ziploc. He put them in a box. He packaged them with paper. That seems to be due diligence of what is required for shipping a package. I don't blame him. But along the way, the box got crushed. The Ziploc bag got opened and the pieces spilled out. And the condition of the box was such that there was holes in the corners, plus this crushed spot. I could put my whole hand in the box. Pieces fell out. So as far as I'm concerned, if you made me put my hand on the Bible and testify in court, I'd blame the post office. That's who's at fault. Post office. So I was like, hey man, just get your insurance claim on it and just like refund my money. You get insurance, you get paid, I get paid, everybody gets, or I get my money back, whatever. I could buy the parts, I can make an order off Brick Owl. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but sometimes in life, shit happens and you have to deal with the pain in the ass. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll check into it. So he called the post office, and he was like, they need photos. So, like, I took some photos of the box. And he's like, can you take, he like gave me a very specific request for a photograph of particular damage of the box. I took that, sent it to him. And this is the best part. In true post office fashion, they've got a website where you could go make the claim or whatever. And in true post office fashion, they're like, dear, like, here, this is how I envision it. Dear customer, thanks for coming to our website. Thanks for uploading digital photos. Thanks for filing for an insurance claim. We're going to send you a piece of mail in the mail to continue this interaction. Which I just laugh. It's just like, oh, it's so post office of the post office. You know what I mean? It's like, to continue this insurance claim, we will mail you a piece of paper in the mail. I'm like, well, okay, I get it. That's the way she goes. So it's like, he was just like, all right, that's where we're at. And I'm like, okay, you know. And then I was like, hey, for fun, you know, I actually videotaped the unboxing if you want to see it. And he's like, oh, that'd be interesting. So I sent him a link. I mean, I don't know if he's watching. If you're watching, I hope you subscribe and watch all the commercials, please. Anyways, I will say, with a caveat, you have to understand, if you're the guy that sold me this Lego set and you're watching, you have to understand that unboxing video is unscripted and real. So my reaction is my real reaction as it's unfolding. You have to understand, like, don't be mad about what I said or anything, because everything is my perspective of the reality, you know. And I don't know if I explained it that good in the video, because I was kind of a little bit upset that it spilled, but like, I guess I'll give you I'm going to assume that the guy's watching. Probably won't, but I'll assume. From my perspective, having experienced this, in my life going forward, if I ship anything that has small parts, I will tape all the seams, personally. Up until this point, I would have never done that. I would also, from going forward in my life, if I were to ship a set of Legos in a Ziploc bag, I would probably make sure the air is mostly out. I think the air was probably full with the idea of that's going to cushion, which is a great idea. I probably would have done that too. But in the future, I wouldn't do that. I would also, once the bag was zipped, I would shove it zip hole in the retail packaging first. On the off chance that it does open, it would spill into the box. And like, these are things that I would have not done in the past, because I've never experienced what I just experienced with that box opening up. Don't feel bad. I would have done the same stuff. But, you know, learn as I have learned. And if you're watching this stream, same thing to you. If you're shipping something with little parts in it, take extra tape and do all the seams around the corners. But anyways, fast forward like a day. On my dining room table, you know, I did an inventory of all the parts where I counted them all out, and like I thought I got them all. Finally, I was like, after so many days, like, dude, I'm just gonna build this thing. Let's see. So would you prefer an AI Mrs. Shelves or a Lego Mrs. Shelves, or rather be the woman, an AI? Oh, I don't, AI, I argue with AI a lot. AI is so terrible. AI. That's a tough one. I guess I've watched two of my friends lose all their stuff. I'm probably not going to get married, to be honest with you. Hope that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, but like, I'm sure there's amazing marriages out there that it all works out, but man, it seems like the way that the world works now is it's like a sport to try to figure out how to steal as much money from somebody as you can. It's just like, geez Louise. Yeah, it like breaks my brain to think about it. Anyways, back to the Lego thing. So I decided to build the set because I kind of looked at what was missing, and I kind of felt like most of what was missing was like I'd call it like cosmetic stuff. I mean, important parts, but like not structural parts, you know? With the exception of one piece, which it sucks. It was a 1x2 actual block that had 2 holes in it that you have to take the plastic pins and like couple it together for strength to hold the legs on. And I was like one of those fell out. It's like that's gonna have to be replaced for long-term stability. So anyways, I built the setup, and it essentially built good enough. Like one of the guns on the sides wouldn't snap on because I was missing a rod, but I pulled a lightsaber hilt out, I guess if you will, and used the lightsaber rod, which was a little too long, but I was able to put the gun on. And then a couple other pieces was just like decorative stuff. There's one piece that I really needed to hold a hose, but I just kind of shoved it in one of the... Anyways, it basically got built. It's fine. It's missing the accoutrements to make it complete, if you will. Oop, just fill my dirty floor there. That's fine. But in the process of building it, I discovered or realized I had miscounted by one. I was missing another piece. Let's see. Men going their own way. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes there's a lot of responsibility in things that you decide to do in life. So anyways, I found out I was missing another piece, so I sent a little message to the guy. It turns out I'm missing one more piece. Haven't really heard back. I'm not sure what's going on, but I was able to dig through some of my Lego pieces, and I found some stuff that was like... I'm trying to think. I found like 2 pieces from like my 80s sets that are like leftover pieces because I can't complete some of the sets. They're not quite exact matching grays, but I was able to like put them in there. So like I got it built. It's cool. It's a super cool set. And then I started messing with it, you know, once I got it built, because like in the show or the movie or whatever, the AT-STs, like a bunch of people are inside of them. Like they're like troop transports. But in the Lego set, only one character fits inside. And I was like, oh man, like only one? Like it comes with these 2 Swamp Raiders, if you will. And it's like, it'd be a lot cooler if both the Swamp Raiders were inside. Just saying. I mean, it's the truth. So I was just like looking at it, and I was like, I wonder if I could actually get both of those dudes in there if I like do a little rearranging of some parts. So then I started like moving the parts around, and I managed to get 2 characters inside the AT-ST. Oops, just made a mess. The one guy, he has to have no helmet on. He has to be kind of like not exactly attached. He has to be like kind of tipped forward, but the lid shuts, and it's like, oh, it's even more better. Perfect. So some of the parts that were missing were interior parts, and then I was able to like take some of the interior parts and move them into a different location to allow the guy. So I kind of, with my customization, I was able to fill in some details that were missing with some details that had to be moved. Although I do enjoy a complete set more, obviously everyone would, but I do also find it fun to customize stuff, so I am going to have to make an order to Brick Owl, unfortunately. But such is life. It's mainly for that one piece on the leg, because like basically what happens is the way the legs are pinned on, there's a rod that goes into this clip, and this clip is connected by 2 blocks. And the 2 blocks, they both have clips, and then another clip goes through to stabilize it. Well, without that second block, that clip is loose on the other side, so I got a little bit of a janky thing going on there. It also appears that, like, the engineering from Lego on that set is such that I think that the leg pins get stressed over time, which I think is just inherent to the design. Because when I was going through the parts, I've never seen these pins used this way before, but basically in Lego, there's these little clips that go into the holes on blocks, so you can like take 2 blocks and put them together. But there's a pin system that can go inside of those pins. I've never seen it done before. I didn't know anything about it. It's a new building technique for me. And there was a couple of those pins that were, I can only assume, used in the leg system of this thing, and they were kind of bent, which leads me to believe that the inherent geometry of the design is such that it puts stress on those pins. So what I'll probably do when I do the brick owl order is I'll try to get some more of those pins, and then I can replace the ones that are fatigued with some fresh ones, you know, because reasons. Just the old Legos. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the adventure along the way is part of the adventure, right? I mean, I'm sure 100% sure that the guy who sent them to me would have much preferred to never have heard from me again, except for to, like, you know, maybe give him a good review. Yeah, I'll give him a review. Why not? No big deal. But, yeah. Just, it always makes you wonder, like, where's those pieces ended up, and did someone, like, go, like, what is this? And just throw it away. Like, I assume that's what happened. Like, I was surprised when my buddy told me that that's what they did. Like, that actually shocked me. But it's nice to know. Oh, and I learned this, and I'll share this with you guys for anyone that ends up watching this. So, if you stick something in a mailbox because you found it and you think to yourself, oh, the mailman will get it back to the rightful owner. Like, for example, if you find a wallet with an ID in it and you say, oh, I don't want to deal with this shit, and you stick it in the mailbox, it used to be if the mailman found the wallet and he opened it up and there was an ID inside, they would get the wallet to the person's address. They no longer do that, and I'm going to tell you why. He explained the whole thing to me. Because of one crybaby pee pants who had a wallet with an ID in it, but the address on the ID was to a location they no longer lived. And they sent the wallet to that location, and then the guy got upset, or the individual got upset that they went out of their way to try to do him a favor. And it only takes about one of those, and the new rule is, oh, yeah, sorry, we found your wallet in the mail with your ID in it, and we shipped it to your old address that we didn't know your old address. We're going to solve that by never shipping another wallet out ever again. So now, if you lose your wallet and someone gives it to the post office, it will just sit there until you show up to get it yourself. They will not contact you. Same with like keys, anything. Even with identifying stuff on it, they will not make an effort to deliver it to you. You have to go in and ask. And if you go in and ask and they have it, they will give it to you. And it's because they sent one to a dude who moved, and it's like, my God. You couldn't have just said, oh, well, we didn't know you moved. Next. That's what they should have said. Next. So, what I would suggest to anyone who is living on planet Earth watching this stream, if you ever find yourself so unfortunate as to lose one of your possessions in a known town where you know where you lost it, you may consider going to the post office and asking if they have potentially your item. Because if someone found it and they decided to turn it into the post office, that's where it'll be. I'm trying to think. I found someone's debit card once. Turned it in. It was actually in Europe. I found someone's debit card on the street. turned it into the police station. I'm trying to think what else crazy, like finding and lost stuff. I lost my ID at a discotheque one time, and I don't even know how it happened. And someone found my ID at the discotheque and then figured out who I was and gave it back to me. That was strange. But the strangest of all things I've ever... The strangest, I lost a thing and found and got it back. This is a true story. I had bought a silver ring when I was over in Europe. I think I bought it in... I think I might have bought it in Prague, maybe. Anyways, I was wearing the ring. We were in France, on the French Riviera, on the beach. I was swimming in the ocean on the French Riviera, and my ring fell off in the ocean. And then I realized, I was like, shit, my ring fell off. And at the time, I was with a group of people, and me being me, I don't know what is about me, but I have the I don't know what it is. Something about me. There are certain individuals who are extraordinarily drawn to me just by my personality. And there was a girl, I believe she was French Canadian, who was extraordinarily, to a point of it was almost a problem, fascinated with me. And unfortunately, I didn't particularly enjoy her company, but she was obsessed with me. And she found out that I lost my ring in the ocean. And I'm not making this up. This girl literally spent a few hours. I did not ask her to do it. She just found out that I lost. So I kind of wonder, maybe she stole my ring. Anyways, she ended up finding my ring in the ocean. And I am not making that up. And for her to do that is a level of like, I don't understand. That's why I almost think she stole my ring, but I'm pretty sure I had it on my hand. I know I had it on my hand. Yeah, she found it in the ocean, like the water, the waves. She's like, I found your ring! And I'm like, oh my God, like, how did you do that, you weirdo? But anyways, that's a true story. Lost my debit card once. The finder wanted a ransom fee. A ransom fee. Yeah, just cancel. That's hilarious. Ransom. Give me money or I'm going to be a piece of shit. Like, well, I got some bad news for you there, piece of shit. Already are. That's funny. That is hilarious. A ransom. I totally understand how people get to that point in their life, because like people get so jaded from the experiences they've had hanging out and dealing with jaded people that like they just become jaded. But like, my God. Yeah, no, that girl was intense. Like, what was crazy is like she was in the exchange program with me, and like I had to spend like, I didn't have a choice but to spend, I had to be around her. I mean, I'm talking obsessive stalker like levels of infatuation. It was like kind of weird. I never experienced that in my life. Up to that point and from that point, I've never had a person that completely obsessed with me. But whatever. The story's not so much about the obsession, it's more about how she found the ring in the ocean. So I've got an associate's degree in business and a bachelor's degree in fine art, emphasizing in sculpture, 3D. that year abroad, I studied drinking beer, girls, and partying. That's what I studied for that year abroad. Having a good time. Because I had already graduated high school when I did my exchange. So I went through high school, grade school, middle school, high school in the United States, graduated, and then I went a year abroad and did like basically an additional year of high school. But because I'd already graduated, I didn't need the credits. I didn't need the whatever. All I had to do to maintain my visa, because I had to have a visa to be in the country, is it was a student visa, so I had to attend school. If I did not attend school, I could lose my visa and be subject to deportation. But the visa did not require me to put effort into the school, so I did not do any schoolwork for a year. I just hung out. 96, 97, it was last century. Definitely one of the more fun years of my life. Although I did feel like I took some art classes over there. Those were fun. I participated in those, but the rest, like, I wasn't even interested in. Like, I mean, I had a teacher like, you might as well just leave. There's no point in being here. You're obviously not going to do the work. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I just like, it was kind of cool because, like in the late '90s, there was internet, right? It existed. Like we had internet at my parents' house, but like it didn't really do anything. And like my high school in America had one computer hooked to the internet in '96. But when I went overseas to that school in Denmark, they called a computer lab. And it was a room full of brand new computers and, brand new computer, like cathode ray tube, screen, tower, mouse, keyboard. But they were all hooked to high-speed internet. It was crazy. So I spent like a extraordinary large amount of time in chat rooms. Because, chat room in Denmark is like, during school day time is like, I think I remember it was like, night owl when computer folks are on chat rooms in America. So I spent a lot of time chat rooming. It's kind of fun. That's how I learned how to type, is being in chat rooms. Because you got to be able to type fast to keep up with the conversation. So yeah, I learned to be a shit poster and how to type on my year abroad. That's how I learned how to type. And then I was over 18 at the time too, which made me a legal adult, which made my year abroad even more fun because I think it was because it was a high school and so it was kind of weird. Like the town I lived in didn't have a school. We had to travel on a train for almost an hour every day to get to the main town. That like they just had one big school and like all the little towns fed into it. That's how they did it. That's why they had that good internet connection. Because it was like, well, we'll just put the internet at one school. Technically, there was three. There was a business school, there was a technical school, and then there was just like a high school. So like if you were wanting to go into business, you'd go to the business school, high school. If you were technical related, you'd go to the technical school. And if you were just like a regular kid, you went to high school. So there was actually 3 schools that you went to. Anyways, I was 18, which was awesome because like the drinking age in Denmark there is no drinking age, but there are bars who set parameters to keep the young folks out. So they have 18-year-old and up bars, and they had 18-year-old and below bars. That seems kind of weird. But yeah, there's like bars you could go to and like drink beer when you're like a young person in Denmark. Like it blew my mind. But the 18-year-old thing that was a big deal because once you hit 18, you hung out with the older folks. I think maybe hard liquor, you may have been 18 to buy hard liquor, and the under 18 might have been beer bars. So they had like discotheques for beer and young kids, but you're hanging out with the young kids, like the middle school age kids and the young high school kids. So everyone was trying to be 18 and get to the 18-year-old bars because that's where all the fun was. Well, I was 18, so I could get right in. Who cared? But the other thing that was interesting about that was because I was 18, this is interesting. I was 18, a legal adult. I was not Danish. I was from a foreign country. And I was not proficient or fluent in Danish. So technically, for the laws on their book, I qualified for language school that was designed for political refugees. But the way the laws were written, you didn't have to be from a a war-torn area. Basically, it was just like, are you living in Denmark? Do you speak Danish? Are you an adult? You can come to this language school. So there was 2 of us in my region of the country, 2 exchange students who were both 18 and qualified for this language school. And then there was, so in my area of the exchange program, there was 4 students, 2 under 18, 2 over. So us 18-year-olds got to go to the government-funded political refugee school. And the other 2, they kind of bitched and cried about it, and they got private lessons. But yeah, I also went to school with political refugees from Bosnia, like war-torn Bosnia at the time. Let's see. This stream is right here. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, no, man. It was unreal back then. Like, every country had its own money. No smartphones. You, like, traveling, you just had to, like, have a map and know what the hell you were doing. The transit, you had to, like, be able to understand, like... I remember, like, negotiating Paris's underground subway system with no smartphone technology. It's a miracle I made it out. I don't want to disparage any young people, but I don't think a young person, if you took them back to that time, I don't think they'd make it. They would not make it home. They would not make it home. Not a chance. What's going on? This is saying that says I'm not connected to the internet. Why is that saying that? My computer's not connected to the internet. But I feel like my stream is. Timer's still ticking. My hand's waving. It's waving on the iPad. But yeah, I don't know. My computer just crapped out on me for some reason. That was the one I was kind of trying to use for... Wi-Fi. Not sure what's happening there. Never had my computer do that. Just like completely just said no internet. That was weird. Get this thing going back again. Probably get a commercial. This breakfast brought to you by Progressive. So yeah, it's just I'm sure I've talked about this in the past, but like political refugee language camp with actual political refugees was... Oh, that's the wrong stream. That was extraordinarily eye-opening to the reality of what people will do. What happened to the internet? It's back now, I think. I don't know. It just said it wasn't working. I hit redo and it redid. And it's like... So, this is a sentence I learned... Like I could sum all my college up into like one sentence. This is what I learned going to college. All the money, everything was this one sentence here. It gives me perspective. That's it. That you save yourself thousands of dollars and go to college. That's all you need to know. It gives you perspective. You see something and you just say, "Well, that gives me perspective," because as a 18-year-old living in Europe, going to political refugee school with people from the war-torn Bosnia area. I learned instantly what humans will do to survive, and what these Bosnians were doing to survive was they got out of their country, they came to Denmark, and they learned instantly that the country of Denmark was extending hospitality to them up and until they could assimilate into society. Until they could assimilate into society, i.e. speak the language, they would be provided a stipend for food, for living, and all that. In exchange, they would just have to come to language school to try to get to the point where they could assimilate into society. I promise you, if the ladies and if the people that were in that language camp with me are still alive living in Denmark, I promise you, they are still in language school. Because there was nothing that was going to make them learn the language. It was not going to ever happen. This is a knife. They would show a picture of a knife. The lady would say the word in Danish, kniv, essentially, knife. This is a fork. She would say the word in Danish, gaffel. That's how you say fork, gaffel. And then it would be the Bosnians' turn, and they'd be like, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. They just speak in their, and they, I don't know. And it was like, gaffel, say gaffel. No, they couldn't say it. It was funny because like the lady teaching the class, obviously, as most younger Danes all speak pretty good English. And she pulled me aside at the very beginning. She's like, hey, I speak perfect English. Please don't speak English in this class. I won't respond to you. I'm going to pretend like I don't understand English. Just don't speak English. That was like the rule. Because like it was a Danish thing for Danish to teach Danish to foreigners. But as soon as class was over, I chatted the shit out of that with that lady. And she was like, yeah, these people aren't trying. They are not trying. Because they get fed and housing. And the alternative was go back to their home country that's in a war. They're it was an incentive. It was an incentive to remain unlearned, I guess, is the best way to put that. I guess my famous story from that was on my birthday, when I turned 18 to 19, the next morning I had to go to language school. And the lady at language school, her body odor was so extreme, I had to go to the bathroom and throw up. I remember that distinctly. It was wild. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. And I'm talking like... And I guess I can't really relate. I've never been in a country that was like war-torn like that. But like... It was almost like a cartoon character of what a person would like look like. It was exactly what they looked. It was crazy. I'm talking like the bandana over the head and the layered clothes and the disheveled everything. Just like, whoa, that's crazy. No. The lady. She was like, well, I can't guess her age because I'm sure you age quickly in a war-torn area, but like probably like a 50-year-old, rotund, large Bosnian lady with the kerchief on the head and like the jacket over the sweaters and the layers and the long skirts and all that. Like, it was like it's horrible. I shouldn't say it, but it was like a cartoon character of what like you think that would look like. It was like in real life. It was crazy. Like I just remember I remember when we were doing fruits like apple. They couldn't say the word apple. Looking at a picture of an apple. I just remember that. I'm just like, there's no goddamn way. Like, I don't know if they have forks and knives in Bosnia. I assume they do, but they got apples. Everybody knows what an apple is. And in English, it's apple, and in Danish, it's æble. Like, it's so close to apple. I don't know what, it'd be almost like, I'm trying to think what the one word. There's like a few words that are pretty universal. One of them, I think the most universal word in the planet Earth is the word taxi. I think almost every language, the word for taxi is taxi. So I would, like, this is how it would be. They'd show a picture of a taxi, and they'd say taxi, and then the people that were in language would be like, I don't know what you're asking. I don't know what that is. And, like, even in their own language, it'd be taxi. Like, it was that bad. It was crazy. But I learned a lot. That's why I actually learned how to speak Danish, is taking that government language course. That was fun because, like, we got to leave school. We got to leave the high school, go down there. So we got time to walk there. And then, like, I actually did some stuff where, like, I went around, like, I went to different schools. Like, I went to some grade schools and did, I guess you get, like, a speech or whatever. Just went there and, like, interacted with the kids. Talk about America and what it's like. Because, like, people that live overseas, their impression of America is all what they see on TV. So, like, I live in the Midwest, so I'm not even making this up. There was a lot of questions about the Native Americans and if there's still like conflict happening, like armed conflict, like how you'd see in like the old cowboys and Indians movies, I guess you'd call it. But like people really asked me about that, like they were serious. lots of questions about firearms because of America and the way we have our laws set up with firearms. Look at my cabinets, you bunch of weirdos. I guess the one thing that stuck out to me the most was like I did a speech at a grade school, and at the time I was like, I didn't have a beard, right? I was a few pounds less, had long blonde hair. I tend to have symmetrical features, so like I'm not an ugly person. I'm well aware of that. But I was much better looking as a young person than I am now. Anyways, I guess I look cool, if you will, because I had the cool California looking look to me. Anyways, there was a kid who was not a very good student, but he was fascinated with America. And so like I was at the school during their English lesson class, so like we could speak to each other, and I would speak English to them, and they would like talk to me. And this kid was trying so hard to communicate with me. And after the class, the teacher was like flabbergasted. She's like, she was like, I've never seen that kid ever try so hard in English class because he was so fascinated with America. And then they're like, they made me speak Danish to him. They're all just laughing at me. That was pretty funny. Good times. Man, I feel like 5 lifetimes ago though. Anyways, I think I got all the chats. Yeah, hopefully everybody survives the ice storm. The ice storm cometh. The snowstorm cometh. The cold weather. The sun's out at my house. Let's see what we got warming up to. 10 degrees. It is 10 degrees at my place, which is not warm enough. I think my fire went out when I was doing all this. I wasn't paying that much attention to get relit. But I think I've gone long enough. Stay tuned for more Lego updates. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. Sorry for the lack of streams. I kind of got burned out. Kind of felt like I was just talking to myself. Last few streams before I stopped doing it, like I wasn't having anybody show up, and like there's something magical about talking to the internet when no one else is there. I mean, I know people are watching the re-uploads, and I get that. I always try to remind myself of that, but like it's more fun for me when there's people in the chat responding. So appreciate you guys. I'll probably do one again on Sunday. We'll do the breakfasts for a while. Plus, it gives me motivation to clean my kitchen a little bit. All right, I'm gonna get going. Appreciate you guys showing up. If you caught it live, thumbs up for you. If you watched the re-upload, that's awesome. If you missed it, you'll never know. So stay safe. Try not to get involved in anything that's potentially dangerous. And we'll see you maybe next Sunday. Peace. Where's the button at? There it is. Peace.